First-year head coach Reed Manstead had the unenviable challenge of replacing a legend at Crete High School, Chuck McGinnis. The Cardinals finished the 2015 season with a 3-6 record, but with a lot of young talent returning next year for Coach Manstead, things are looking good in Crete.
Yeah, you know, in the first year, just from, you know, taking it over and stuff like that, it was one of those situations where, you know, I wasn't coming into a new situation. You know, I already knew the kids on the team. I wasn't having to fill my staff. The staff was going to be there on the same. And that was one of the nice things about getting to take over for Coach, is it was a real smooth transition. And, you know, with Coach McGinnis, he's one of those gentlemen who I just think the world of, and he's a guy who I personally, still to this day, you know, go and talk to a lot when I have questions, offensively, defensively, or just from the standpoint of running the team. You know, he's a great resource to have, and he's a guy that, you know, I feel very comfortable with asking questions to. And then, you know, last year's team, very young, and you know, we were a team that we put a, you know, in my opinion, a very tough schedule. Last year we opened up with state runner-ups Aurora, and anytime you're starting, you know, I think it was 7 new guys on offense, 7 new on defense, and you kind of get thrown in there trial by fire, I guess. It was one of those situations where, you know, our young guys did a great job, but, you know, I look for next year to be much more from a standpoint of just having, you know, experience and stuff like that. I think that will be much more benefit in that area.
And it sure doesn't hurt to have your 6'4", 210-pound starting quarterback Rhett Harms back again.
Anytime you can bring your quarterback back, I mean, that's just anybody with experience at that position. You know, that's such a, you know, that's what the toughest position in football. You know, you got a lot on your shoulders with that, and anytime you're, you know, starting off, and like I said, when, you know, last year we opened up with, you know, I mean, you had Aurora, you had Scott in there, you had York in those first 3 or 4 games. So we had a lot of tough games, and I thought Rhett handled that really well. So for him to come in and, you know, against the best competition in the state in Class B, to perform at a very high level with not much experience, you know, coming in next year, he's going to have a year under his belt. And I was actually talking with Alex McGinnis, who was our quarterback prior to this, and he was saying how much of a transition he made from his junior to senior year, and how he was saying that just coming back from a comfortability level is such a huge deal. And for Rhett next year, I look for him to be, you know, just much more comfortable, having been there, done this once time around. And, you know, he's a leader for us out there on offense, and as a quarterback, you got to be.
I think I'm pretty decently athletic overall, pretty tall, so the length kind of helps me out a little bit. I feel like I'm pretty explosive, so as long as I get that first step, then that's where I excel.
In my opinion, I think Rhett would make a heck of a tight end or wide receiver. I think that he's one of those guys who, you know, if we had another guy, I would love to just try to put Rhett outside and throw it up deep to him, because I truly think teams would have to double him. You know, he's one of those guys, but unfortunately, you know, when you're playing the quarterback spot, you know, we don't have anybody else that can throw it to him, so Rhett's kind of our guy back there. But he's one of those guys where, you know, like I said, he's 6'4", he can stand under the rim and dunk it, you know, so he can jump up and do that. So he's one of those guys who, you know, being able to throw a deep ball to, or, you know, he's got good hands, he's got good athleticism, he's got good speed. I could see college coaches definitely be looking at him at the receiver spot.
Outside linebacker / fullback Ethan Sherman will anchor the defense and provide plenty of leadership for the Cardinals. Both his older brothers starred at Crete and signed with Northwest Missouri State.
I just try to be the best I can be. I mean, they've set great examples for me, and I just try to look up to them and kind of try to follow their footsteps.
The best way I can describe Ethan, he's just a good football player. You know, he's one of those kids where I don't know if he necessarily knows what he's going to do from a college standpoint with position. You know, I know you know, his first love is linebacker. And, you know, Ethan's about 5'11", 185 pounds, and we'll look to get him a little bit bigger in the offseason as well. But Ethan's one of those kids who, you know, he's got such a great nose for the football, and that's not something you can coach. You know, haven't played the position of linebacker, and you know, when I played, and you know, that's one of those positions where, yeah, you kind of either got it or you don't from that note, you know, having a nose for the football standpoint, and he's definitely got that. Both his brothers are over 6 foot. I could easily see him growing over 6 foot as well, and I could also see Ethan playing fullback in college too. I don't want to just, you know, pigeonhole him and say he can only play linebacker, because I tell you what, he's a heck of an athlete. Like I say, he's just a good football player. And, you know, last year he ran the ball for us real well at times from the fullback spot. And I think next year we're going to take a look at him both at fullback and tailback, so he's going to get an opportunity to run the ball a little bit more from that standpoint. But he's definitely a kid that could, in my opinion, play a fullback spot as well as a linebacker spot at the next level.
So keep your eye on the Crete Cardinals next year. Reporting for HuskerOnline.com from Crete High, I'm Greg Peterson.